In today's video, I will be doing a week of spending living in Atlanta using my Cashless budgeting system. Let's get right into it. So this is my happy planner where I do all of my budgeting. I just use this old happy planner, so this is not a new one. The only thing I use it for are the dividers with the months on the side so that I can stay on track, and I just like to have everything in one place. Once this year is over, I merge this over to a older happy planner and I just print out new worksheets and I just start from that year. So if you are interested in these worksheets, I will link it down below. So the first thing I do when it comes to my cashless budgeting system is I come over to my expense tracker. Now usually you will see my face on the camera, however I'm not really feeling well today, but I didn't want to delay putting out this video. I wanted to keep my schedule going and I didn't want to leave y'all hanging like that, so I decided to do a video faceless basically. So what I do is I usually already have this stuff written out for you, but I said, you know what, since I'm not going to be faceless today, I want to actually show you the step-by-step process. So the very first thing I do is I log into all of my banking accounts and I go ahead and I write down every single thing that I have spent money on from the last time that I have recorded it. So I'm going to go ahead and write that stuff out right now. Now I have written out all of my transactions that has cleared through my banking accounts for the week. The next thing I do is categorize each one of my expenses. Every single color that you see here goes to a category. So the first thing is short-term disability, and that's gonna be within my home category. How I figure out what goes with what category is I come over to my monthly budget and I have everything listed here. So inside of the home category, I have my mortgage payment, life insurance, short-term disability, aftercare fee, and phone bill. So anything that I see that goes inside of my home category is gonna be highlighted in purple. The next category is gas, and as you can see, transportation has gas inside of it, and that's going to be highlighted with the color yellow. So anytime that I went to the gas station, I got to highlight it in yellow, and the reason why I do this is because it just stands out a little bit more and it helps me when it's time to put all of these items into categories. The next is Zaxby, and that is a food category. It doesn't necessarily mean if it's groceries. Anything that I eat goes inside of this grocery budget. If I decide to buy fast food instead of groceries, then that's what I got to take out of my grocery budget. So hopefully this will tell me, you know what, maybe you need to stop eating out so much because now you don't have groceries in your house or something like that. So I feel like when I put it all together and I'm trying to figure out why I don't have any groceries and stuff like that, and why I don't have any money for groceries rather, I can go back to my budget and say, well girl, you ate it all. You get what I'm saying? So food is going to be highlighted in blue. So anything that is considered a food that you eat, I'm going to highlight it in blue. The next thing that needs to be highlighted is my Discover credit card, and my debt payment is pink. Everything that is considered a debt goes in the color pink. And shopping, anything in the fun category or anything that does not really particularly fit in a category, I put that in my fun/miscellaneous because I did give myself $75 for fun this month. I also gave myself $200 this month as well. However, because I forgot to put my sneakers on here because I did purchase shoes at the beginning of the month, I'm gonna take the shoes out of there, so that brings me down. I still have a little bit of money left inside of that budget since I didn't get my wig like I planned it on to, and just so happened I forgot to include my sneakers on here. So for miscellaneous/fun spending, it goes in this highlighter lime color or yellow color. And the next thing I do with this is basically I categorize it just to see how much did I spend in each one of these categories, because it's not just enough just to see, okay, well, I can total all of this up and see exactly how much everything comes up to, but I want to know, am I on track for the amount of money that I actually budget for? How much have I actually spent? So let me go ahead and add up all of these items and separate it into different categories. So inside of my savings category, I spent $0 because this wasn't a pay week, so I didn't have any money going automatically into my savings. In my home category, I spent $120. In my food category, I spent $55.60. Inside of my transportation category, I spent $18.61. Inside of my subscriptions category, I didn't have any subscriptions that cleared this week. Inside of my debt category, I spent $108.40. Inside of my fun/miscellaneous category, I spent $32.49. So the total spent this week was $335.10. Now I'm going to put all of this information inside of my spreadsheet just to see what do I have left remaining, so I know how to move accordingly. Okay, this is my spreadsheet, and the first thing I do is I go over to my transaction tracker. And I didn't even realize that $2.75 from the Zaxby's was already included. So I'm going to have to subtract $2.75 from my amount. So the total spent this week was $332.35. So the first thing I do is I come over to my expense tracker on my workbook, and I write all of that information that I just wrote down. I put it inside of this transaction tracker. And the reason why I put it inside of this transaction tracker, because it calculates everything for me, and I'm able to see visually how much money I actually have left inside of the accounts and how much I have left for that particular item that I'm budgeting for. So let's get right into tracking these expenses inside of the budget spreadsheet. Now I've gotten all of my transaction in my spreadsheet. I come over to my monthly budget, and I actually, the only area I really focus on is just the expenses area, because everything else has its own account. So for my bills, this has its own account. This particular item right here, the mortgage and utility, that has its own account where money goes inside of there. The rest of these right here actually comes out of my main checking account. Now with my debt payments, that actually comes out of my main checking account as well. Now the food and gas and stuff like that, that comes out of my main checking as well. So this is what I really need to be paying a close attention to. So I'm going to go in a little bit more so you can see it with the expenses. So as you can see right now, I'm not over budget in anything. For food, I budget $200 this month, and I'm already at $112.21, and I have $87 left, and we got about 2 more weeks left in this month. So $87 gotta last us 2 more weeks. So I think I'll probably use some of this money to go to the grocery store. I have a lot of meats. However, the last day of school is on Thursday, and you know how the kids are when it's the last day of school, they start eating up everything. So I gotta go and get, replenish snacks, cereal, milk, little things like that. Now for gas, 2 more weeks left in this month, and I'm left with around $71. So that should probably last me, because I do about $30 a week. So that should pretty much last me, and I'm off for 5 days, so I shouldn't even use all of this. My subscriptions still on budget with the debt. I have $30.01 left remaining within the subscriptions. For the fun category, I have about $10.02 left there, so I don't have a lot of room for fun for the next 2 weeks. For sneakers, I have $11.60 left there. However, I told myself I was going to give myself $200 for hair, and then I also did budget for the sneakers. It's just when I did my monthly portion, I forgot to put it there, so I'm just not even going to get the hair, and I'm going to let the hair take over the sneakers because I didn't necessarily account for the money. I just only planned for the sneakers. I didn't actually put the money aside for the sneakers because I didn't include it inside of my monthly budget. I did the rug making class, had $1.79 left from that, and Cinco de Mayo with 24 cents left from that. So I'm right on track when it comes to my budget, and this is pretty much what I spent in a week living in Atlanta, and this is doing my cashless budgeting system. If you are interested in this spreadsheet and my budget workbook, because they work hand in hand, if you do not want to do all of the calculations, this is perfect for you. But I do solely believe in right division, make it plain, and planning everything out and just visualizing it in your workbook. I definitely recommend the workbook. So I'm gonna link everything down below, but that's it for this video, you guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.